Welcome to Lesson 6 of our course on Philippine indigenous communities. This lesson is about the different approaches of the Declaration of International Intellectual Property Rights, which is again a continuation of our greater or larger theme on the Constitution. By the end of this lesson, students should be able to compare and contrast the approaches different countries take to protecting intellectual property rights through their constitutions or other legal frameworks. Second is to identify potential challenges associated with integrating intellectual property rights within a constitution, considering factors like cultural heritage and existing legal systems. Now let's take a look first at the approaches to international intellectual property rights in different countries. First, in the Philippines, the 1987 Philippine Constitution, particularly in Article 14, Section 17, the Constitution mandates the protection of indigenous cultural heritage. And Republic Act 8371, which is the Indigenous Peoples' Rights Act of 1997, affirms indigenous rights over traditional knowledge. So an example of this, which we have mentioned also in a previous lesson, the protection of Tinalak weaving of the Tiboli people in Mindanao and its recognition as cultural property. Now let's take a look at other countries' approaches. In the United States, there is a strong patent and copyright system under federal law, but limited direct constitutional recognition of indigenous knowledge. That is the unfortunate thing there. In New Zealand, the Treaty of Waitangi provides indigenous Maori rights over cultural expressions and traditional knowledge. In India, the Geographical Indications of Goods Act of 1997 protects traditional products like hand-woven textiles. Example, or another example, India's Darjeeling tea is protected under Geographical Indications, GI, similar to efforts to protect indigenous crops in the Philippines. Next, let's take a look at the challenges in integrating indigenous intellectual property rights into national legal systems. The first challenge we have is the usual thing, legal conflicts with traditional knowledge. The fact is that intellectual property laws focus on individual ownership, whereas indigenous knowledge is collective. It is owned by the community, not by a single family, clan, or worse still, an individual. Example, cases where indigenous medicines have been patented by non-indigenous entities such as pharmaceutical companies. The second challenge has to do with issues with enforcement and recognition. Lack of strong enforcement mechanisms for protecting indigenous knowledge, that is the foremost. We have also conflicts with modern commercialization practices, such as mass production of indigenous inspired crops. Example, the unauthorized reproduction of Cordillera tattoo patterns in global fashion. Now, let's take a look at the strategies for strengthening indigenous intellectual property rights globally. One, as we are doing also nationally, the implementation of geographical indications for indigenous products. So As an example, we have the legal recognition of traditional crops similar to Darjeeling tea in India. So another example that we could cite, the proposal to protect traditional weavings from the Philippines under the GI laws. Another strategy for strengthening indigenous intellectual property rights globally is obviously to strengthen international agreements among countries. So one item here is encouraging participation in the World Intellectual Property Organization's traditional knowledge framework to create global legal standards. Example, the Philippines' involvement in UNESCO's efforts to document indigenous cultural heritage. So, in conclusion, we have to highlight that different countries take varied approaches to protect indigenous intellectual property rights, balancing between modern IP laws and traditional knowledge systems. Some would tilt toward modern IP laws, while others are on the traditional knowledge systems. The Philippine approach recognizes indigenous rights in both the Constitution and IPRA, but enforcement challenges remain, as we have also pointed out in our previous lessons. Countries like New Zealand and India offer models through treaties and geographical indications to safeguard indigenous crafts and knowledge. Globally, indigenous IP rights often clash with legal systems focused on individual ownership and commercialization. So to strengthen indigenous IP protection worldwide, we must, 1, adopt legal tools like GI to safeguard traditional products. Number 2, engage in international cooperation for global recognition of indigenous rights. Number 3, promote inclusive policies that respect collective ownership and cultural identity. Lastly, we have to leave this note that respecting indigenous intellectual property is respecting the soul of culture. Diverse approaches bring us closer to just inclusive protection. So next meeting, we will proceed to the next lesson, that is lesson 7, about the arguments for and against inclusion of the Declaration of Intellectual Property Rights in the Constitution. Thank you and see you then.